Perfect. We got it. All right. I know folks are going to kind of make their way in as we're going along, but hi everyone. I'm seeing some familiar faces. I'm seeing some new faces. So excited for this one because guess what, guys? I need it too. Like a lot. So, okay, to get started, I'm Sarah Keith. I am the director here at the Atlanta School of Photography, and I am so excited to have Jeff Morris here joining us for this month's photo club because it was actually sort of serendipitous by happenstance that we met where about a month or two ago he had reached out for headshots to take some new headshot pictures, and so we had our 30-minute consultation call, which I know I have told all of y'all to do for your businesses because cool stuff like this can happen in those consultation calls. And so we got to talking, told me a little bit about what he does, and I was like, oh my gosh, we we need this in the photo club, hands down. We absolutely need to make sure that we implement this somehow, because while we spend a lot of time, especially like on the business end of things, talking about pricing and galleries and marketing, we have a tendency to forget about ourselves. And we have our business, which feels like its own baby at sometimes, its own entity, and we do a lot to make sure that the business is growing, but then we forget to take care of the financial side of us and our well-being and our living. So we're like, oh yeah, everything's going great, the business is healthy, profit and loss sheets are looking great, we did so good this year, and then you look at your 401k and you're like, a what? You don't have anything set up for your financial backing, for your future, for insurance purposes, or anything like that. And once Jeff told me that this is the things that he covers, specifically working in the field of creatives and women directly, I was like, this is exactly our audience. This is who we need. So, yeah, Jeff, go ahead. If you want to introduce yourself, go for it.
Thank you. And do we just have Jennifer and Carly for now?
Oh, we've got Jennifer, Carly, Laura, Catherine,
Okay.
Deanna.
So those are the only two names that I see. So I'm glad we have more in the house. But thank you, Sarah. Thanks for the great introduction and welcome everybody. And to what Sarah said, we met serendipitously because I had a need and she was the only, I reached out to several photographers and she was the only one that replied to me and that we set up a time to talk. And when we got on the phone and I put eyes on her and she put eyes on me, it was so much more personal than somebody just sending me pricing for headshots. I got a lot of those, but she was actually the only one who was able to make the connection, take the time to understand my needs, and look at where we are right now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all, it does want just 30 minutes of your time to see someone face to face via Zoom like this or a phone call or whatever. It makes all the difference in the world. Seriously.
Right. So today we're going to talk about planning for creatives, specifically for photographers, and understanding that every plan starts with a clear vision, knowing what you're working towards. Just like Lynn's focusing on the sunshine, and you have to love my pictures. I tried to really get some nice pictures for this presentation because I know who my audience was. So I want to get a little feedback on that as well. But without clear goals, making money can feel a little scattered. And keeping your money and your business in line is really, really important. So let's go to the next slide. Am I controlling that?
Oh,
Okay.
and I see, Catherine, thank you so much for letting me know. The Zoom link that was emailed from Meetup was invalid. I swear it's like the weirdest stuff that's going on. I appreciate that, Catherine. So I just resent the link. And so hopefully we'll have some folks joining in shortly. And then I'm also going to put in the chat, and I'm going to be moderating and fielding questions and all of that. So if you have questions as we're going about, feel free to put them in the chat box. I just put a little hi in there. So if you want to ask them, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that throughout. So yeah.
Right. And we want to make this as interactive as possible. So if something comes up while we're going through the presentation, just feel free to raise your hand and we'll answer it. How much time do we have, Sarah?
We've got an hour. We've got an
Okay.
hour. So yeah. And then even to get us kickstarted, if y'all want and are comfortable, what I want to throw in the chat there, what type of photography it is that you do and what stage you are at in your business. So if you're doing portrait photography and you just started, or you've been doing this for a couple of years, that will help us to let us know kind of like where you're at.
Right. Okay. So why this matters is because it's important to have a plan, right? And what you'll learn from this session is that you'll have a blueprint of what freelance financial planning will look like. The goal or the challenges that you face are having irregular income, right? One day is a lot, next day it's not so much. Uh, no employee benefits or no benefits at all. And I know that could be a challenge if you don't have somebody in your life that can assist you with that. And then taxes, just dealing with taxes as a independent business owner is really tough. So the goal is to build stability and ensure protection. Change your mindset from a gig worker or 1099 to a business owner. And that's what's going to help you create long-term wealth. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, right? Originally from Brooklyn, New York, been in Atlanta for a long time. Went to school, studied hotel restaurant management, came to Atlanta, and I probably sold everything from men's ties to ladies' shoes to payroll and taxes for ADP, right? And most of you know who ADP is because they probably have ADP on your W-2 or your check. But, and I also ran a restaurant for 7 years. And if any of you know about restaurants, it can be really tough. And it was tough. And it ended tough for me because after 7 years, it had an impact on my marriage, and my marriage ended in a divorce. And then my dad passed. So a lot of things were happening to me at that time. So I decided to take a break and try something different. And that was about 15 years ago when I got into financial services. And getting into financial services was a beginning because I saw some of the mistakes that my mom made with her finances after my dad died. You know, she trusted the wrong people, and she's 91 right now, and she's healthy, but she could be in a better place financially. And that led me to join an organization by the name of NABA, National Association of Black Accountants. And working with those accountants showed me that there are a lot of smart people. They understand numbers, they understand business, but they didn't necessarily understand investments, financial planning, and retirement planning. So that's how CPA Allies was born. And the majority of our clients are women because women go through a lot of different phases in life. Not saying that men don't, but women have to deal with raising children, caring for adults or their parents or other family members, challenging or fighting for equal pay in the work, um, divorce, being a widow, going through menopause. It's just a lot of things women have to deal with. And sometimes people don't check for mom because mom is supposed to have everything together, but they need help too. So that's how we started CPA Allies. So that's a little bit about me and who we serve. So let's have a little brain quiz right now, okay? So would you rather have $1 million today I can write you a check for $1 million right now. Or would you allow a penny to double every day for 30 days? And we're going to take 60 seconds so people could drop that answer in the chat. And Sarah, I can't see the chat, so you're going to have to tell us in 60 seconds.
Sure, will do. Catherine says penny. Penny
All right.
doubled
Okay.
every day for 30 days. I'm with Maria. Maria said $1 million. I got credit cards to pay off right now, today. Carly, $1 million today.
I love this
Jennifer,
because
$1 million. Laura, $1 million. Deanna, $1 million today. I feel like this is a trick question, Jeff. We might have failed.
all right, we got about 15 seconds. How many people are in the group now?
So, Catherine is only one in the penny club.
Okay. All right, so we will reveal the answer right now. So Catherine is the only one, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a winner, Johnny.
Oh my God.
So look at this. It starts off very little, right? Day 1, day 8, day 10, day 15. But look how it starts to really grow after 16, 17, 18, 19. And then after 30 days, look where you end up. We can do the math on this. This is not tricks. So, Catherine, kudos to you, young lady.
Catherine
Kudos.
wins.
That is awesome.
The rest of us, if I can speak for myself, went to art school.
Right. No, but it just goes to show that small, consistent growth can equal huge results over time, right? It's the compounding effect. And that's what it's about. It's about small changes, small mindset changes. David is on. He said he wants to come on camera because he wanted that $1 million. I think that's why he's on camera, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Davis. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna ask to unmute. I've got it locked. I'm sorry. The thing is weird. Jennifer is saying, I'm so not a numbers person. Same. Very much same. Catherine. Oh, Catherine's saying that y'all were at ADP at the same time.
Really?
Yes.
I have to know who that is. David's off of mute. Davis,
There we
I'm sorry.
go.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Hey.
Davis, were you a million or were you a penny guy?
Well, in what context?
Well, the screens we just went through. If you joined afterwards, we could catch up later.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
All right,
you're
no,
good. You're good.
Mhm.
right. So planning isn't just about earning, it's about tracking and understanding where every dollar goes. Having an awareness creates control, and then control creates progress. So it's being systematic about it, right? Shifting your mindset from a gig worker to a business owner. That's not easy because you got into business to do something you love to do. You did not get into business to pay taxes or to do payroll or to manage people. That's not why you got into this profession. You got into for the love of photography. So, being intentional about tracking your monthly expenses, that is so key. Um, Building a financial operating system, having a system in place. And probably one of the most important things that a lot of independent people struggle with is separating their personal funds from their business funds. They just dump it all in the same account. And then at the end of the year, they're struggling to try to figure out, okay, this person paid me, this is personal money, and this is business. That's not a good recipe for success. So write down, and after each slide I have is to take an action step. And I'm going to share this with Sarah so she can share it with the audience. So write
Yeah,
down,
y'all will get this presentation too, so don't worry.
so make sure you write down your base income needs and then reduce your expenses as much as you can. Everything that you see that you would like, you cannot buy, right? That's where you get caught up, especially with the type of equipment that you have. They're always coming out with new stuff.
Yep.
So you want to get the latest and the greatest, but that can be tough sometimes. So, building a level of goals is really important. Have a minimum goal, have a realistic goal, and then have an ambitious goal. And if you have those three, if something happens, if you have a setback, you can at least hit your base goal. And then when something happens and you have a big opportunity to spend some money and you got a big windfall, then you can capture and look into those opportunities and take advantage of them. So an action step on that is to create the income tiers so they match your expenses, because it's really important that you do that. And you also want to maintain a lifestyle choice with income. I know sometimes when we get a big deal, if you will, we want to go buy things because we got this big inflow, but the next one may not be that big. So we need to keep that in perspective. Emergency funds, right? Something is always going to happen. So it's a safety net. It protects you and it protects your business. You are the goose that's laying the golden eggs. So it's important that you take care of the goose, because if something happens to the goose, no eggs will come, right? So this is the foundation of having financial resilience, is to protect those things that you have. You know, open an account, open up a high yield savings account, put 6 to 12 months of savings in there. And you want it in a high yield account because you want to have access to it, but yet you don't want it to be in an account that you cannot access. And then when you need it, you get penalized for taking out your own money. And the high yield savings account will also give you the ability uh, to beat inflation, right? Because if you just stick it under your bed, it's not growing, but it is losing purchasing power, right? So make sure you boost that and flip that dime 2 or 3 times. I put that in there because as a business owner, we would like everything to make our lives easier. But don't buy something until what you're doing has been totally maxed out, totally exhausted. So if you have a camera and it's taking really good shots, keep using that camera until it either conks out on you or you have to really get a new one. Because if you continue to buy new and shiny things, it's just going to eat away in your profit.
Yeah, I can say that Casey, who some of y'all might know, one of the instructors here, she recently just upgraded all of her lenses after 12 years of use. 12 years. So
Right.
this is one of those things where I think, get caught up in as photographers, as you're saying, especially because there's so many different new toys out there. There's so many different cool things out there. Even in other creative fields, there might be a new pad that comes out to be able to like draw more like better with for the illustrations or things like that. So we as creatives are constantly, especially now with social media, being fed a lot of
Yeah.
like, ooh, this thing, this thing, this thing, shiny, get this will change your photography, this will enhance your pictures. And then or you go to a meetup and you're like, oh, this person has this lens and this will change how I do photography. And reminder, there's ways you can always rent lenses and rent equipment that you're wanting to try and test out, and not having to always purchase them. So that can sometimes be a better use of funds. You can buy things used. I don't think I've bought a brand new piece of equipment over $500 in years. Everything that I purchase is used, and that knocks anywhere between like 15 to 50% off of whatever the original market price is as well. So I think one of the first mistakes that I made when I first started my business was thinking that acquiring thousands of dollars of worth of equipment at the start was going to somehow magically change my business and make me more successful, but it wasn't. It was everything else in the peripheral, wasn't the equipment. And now whenever I see something that I really like, I need to sit down with my husband and ask him and go, do I need this or do I want this? And 99% of the time he says, this is a want. This is a want. This is not a need. This. And I'm like, okay, thank you for talking me down from the cliff. I appreciate it.
But that's important. That's just like having a coach, somebody on the
Yeah.
side, see what you're doing, because while you're in the moment, you don't see your movements. Great athletes are great because they have coaches to guide them towards that successful outcome that they want, right? So
Mhm.
kudos to your husband.
Yeah, everyone get someone on their side that can give them the absolute reality lowdown of, do I need or want this?
Right? Because there's a saying, and you probably heard it, trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? In reality, the Joneses are broke. You know that, right? Because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it never ends until you look at your bank account and you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and you don't have what you would like to have because of all the things. And if you ask a lot of older people, people in their 70s and 80s, about some of the purchases they've made, they probably say, you know what, I really didn't need that. It was a want, it wasn't a need.
The other thing I can say is, for someone like myself, where I'm very attuned to just like putting things into my Amazon cart and saying like, oh, I totally need this. And then just because it'll be there in the next day, it's the easiest thing in the world. You throw it into your Amazon cart and before you know it, you've just spent $4,000 on lighting equipment. So save for later button is fantastic. And don't save your credit card information in Amazon. Don't save your debit card information in Amazon for the business. If you take that extra, it's like a little mental trick. If you take that extra time to really process, not only sleep on it, but then really process having to like go find your card, type in the numbers, type everything in, that gets your brain going of like, ooh, maybe I don't need this. So little hack from ADHD Sarah, who gets way too
Right.
excited about buying new pretty things.
I'll tell you another hack that I used with a client and it worked. I told them to take their credit cards and put them in water and freeze them. They put it in the
Ooh.
water, they freeze it. And I said, next time you want to make a purchase, take it out. And if you still need that purchase after it's thawed out, then you can get it. It's just the mentality of them having to go that extra step to pause before they took the credit card out, and it worked. So let's
Love
look at
it.
some account structures, right? Money should flow with intention and not randomly. So it should first come in with profit, and then feed into savings, and then feed into expenses, and then into investments. And I don't care if it's a little bit, but making sure that they go into the savings and investing, because the expenses are not going anywhere, right? So paying yourself first is really, really important. Making sure you have that business account, that checking account, that tax account. Those separate accounts will make it a lot easier for you. So managing your fund as they come in, and something that I recommend, because I do it every week, is every Sunday is my admin day. And I know many of you probably have that as well. But the day that you do all the administration work on your business, I balance my QuickBooks, I look at my personal account, I look at my business account, I put my taxes in there, and I balance it with a Excel spreadsheet. Keep it simple, but I do it every week, because if you wait and let the weeks double up and then let the months double up, it's going to be too much on you. And one, you're not going to want to do it. And two, you're more prone to making mistakes. So make sure you just do a little bit at a time. It'll probably take you an hour the first time. And then once you get in a rhythm, like 15 or 20 minutes, and boom, you have your stuff balanced. And if anyone needs the sheet, I have a blank sheet that I can send to you, and it just says debits and credits. Keep that running too. Another thing that I would recommend is having a bookkeeper, right? I know it's a cost, but you are not a bookkeeper. You are a photographer. You are creative. Now, if you want to learn how to do bookkeeping, that's your choice. But outsource different things. Just like people call you because they can't take pictures themselves, or they can, but they want a professional. Outsource that piece of your your business operation, and then on a quarterly basis, they will send you an invoice. The lady that I use she charges just about $100 on a quarterly basis. I send her my statements for the business. I make sure my QuickBooks are balanced. QuickBooks is $30. It keeps going up, but it's $30 a month. And she looks at that, she checks my bank statement, and boom, she reconciles my stuff. So at the end of the year, I just send the package that the bookkeeper sent me to my CPA, and my CPA does my taxes. So it just takes the burden off of me because that's not my specialty. And I don't want to make a mistake and make a tax issue come up, because Uncle Sam, they they don't play. They have people in place to chase people down that don't do their taxes correct. So take some action steps and make sure you set up your bank information separated from your personal, and then open up an investment account. So let's talk about taxes really quickly. I would recommend setting aside 25 to 30% of your income for tax purposes. These are called estimated taxes. So you could do it on a quarterly basis. And most businesses, most independents, entrepreneurs, they do it on a quarterly basis because they don't want to come up with that full tax burden at the end of the year, because that could be significant if you don't have it in savings. So between 25 and 30%, put it in that account, and then do your estimated taxes. If you're working with a CPA or an accountant, they can file it for you, but you can do it yourself. But it just helps you stay ahead of the tax curve, because my time with ADP, and you said the young lady that worked with ADP is on the call too.
Yeah.
She can attest that Uncle Sam looks for businesses, especially small businesses, that make mistakes on their taxes, right? And that's how businesses like ADP stay in business, because they keep people away from the tax monster, if you will. So taxes can be the biggest downfall of a small business that you can have, because once you get into a bad situation, it's hard to get out if you don't have the money to pay the interest and the penalty. And those things, you think about that penny dollar, that penny doubling every day, is probably the same thing with penalties and interest when it comes to your taxes. So hire a bookkeeper.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, Jennifer was asking, do you have any bookkeepers and CPAs that you can recommend?
I do. I have a list of both. And I'll be more than happy.
Fantastic.
We'll set up a time where we're talking out. Because I work with
No.
several that specialize in different things. So I'll set up a time with Jennifer and just determine what she needs and see if I can set her up with the best person in with her. Because you don't click with everybody, right? Just like meeting you, Sarah. I had email conversations with people, but no one took that extra step. And there was one person, they just sent me the numbers. They didn't even say hi. They didn't say what you're looking for. They just said, this is what it costs for X, Y, and Z. I don't spend my money like that. So remember, balance your books every week. Need the spreadsheet? Just let us know. So retirement plan options. There are several options that you have as a self-employed employee, a self-employed business owner, and they're really cool because you can do a lot more than folks that work for an employer. You have a lot more flexibility. You know, you have a simplified employee pension plan, which is a set plan. They have higher limits and the contributions are tax deductible. You have a solo 401k. Solo 401k is probably one of the coolest ones because if you have a spouse that helps you in the business, they can make contributions as well. If you have children that work in the business and they're over, is it 18 or 21? I think it is 21. If they're over 21, they can contribute to the solo 401k as well. And then you have the Roth. The if if you don't have a Roth right now, you should do it by tomorrow because it's one of the best uh, retirement savings plans that you can have because you put in money funds right now after tax and then it grows and whenever you pull it out you will not be taxed on that growth. So it's the only plan that allows your money to grow without being taxed when you reach a certain age, 62, 65, 72, whatever, whenever you choose to pull it out. So having a Roth IRA, especially as a self-employed individual, is key. And you don't have, I think the max for, we can go into that, max for a Roth IRA is $7,000. But if you're over age 50, you can put up to $8,000. And the contributions again are after tax and you can withdraw them tax free. The income limits begin at 146 for singles, and if you're married, you can contribute $230,000. So just imagine putting in money and in 10, 15, 20 years, it growing at, let's be conservative and say 5 or 6%. That's more than inflation, and it'll give you the ability to have funds that are not going to be taxed because the tax man are cometh when you retire. Then again, you have the solo 401k, limit up to $70,000, 77,500 if you're over 50, no income limits. And then the SEP IRA is up to 25% of your net earnings and no income limits on that. So I personally have the SEP plan and a Roth IRA. So I drop funds in both buckets and I try to max out. If I have it, I max out. I maxed out every year for the longest. And it's nice to see your accounts grow, right? Because you know you're working hard every day and you want to make sure you can see some of your funds.
And quick question about the limits. So the income limits, right? If for a Roth IRA, if you say you are taking in $500,000 a year for your business, this isn't your final like salary that you would pay yourself, but if the business brings in $500,000, does that apply to those limitations, or are they only looking at your profit?
Your income, whatever you make, whatever you're pulling from the business
Got it.
as your take home. Yes.
Cool.
And that's important to know because, you know, working for yourself, that's why, again, having a CPA, a bookkeeper is important because you want to make sure you stay within your lines when it comes to things like this because if you get red flagged from the IRS, it's really hard to get off of that radar. You know, it's really important to, you know, paying taxes, no one likes to pay taxes. But the pros of paying taxes is that means you're making money, right? People that are paying taxes are drawing an income. And if you weren't, then you wouldn't have to worry about that. But we know the other side of not making money. And we don't want that. We don't want to be on that line. So you good with this one?
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting to say where it's like, I never considered having two. I never considered having the Roth and the SEP. IRA that you can drop in both. I thought it just had to be one or the other and kind of pick your poison and say, this is going to be the one I'm going with. But the fact that I didn't realize you could have two. So that's awesome.
Yeah. As long as you don't go over the limits, the contribution limits, you're golden. And that's why staying abreast of your income, of your tax brackets, just making sure you know what numbers are working for you. That's why it's really important to do that. So protecting your business, again, like we talked about, you are the goose that's laying the golden eggs, and risk is inevitable, but protection is optional. You choose not to get the highest coverage on your car. You choose not to get the lowest deductible on your homeowner's insurance. But you have to figure out what risk am I risk am I willing to take to protect that loss? Because loss is going to happen. You know, you have your equipment is very expensive. You drop it, it falls over, it tips over, whatever the case may be. That's thousands of dollars. That's not a $10 accident. That's thousands of dollars in your equipment. So having that is really important. Health insurance is really important. Who could tell me what the number one reason is that people file for bankruptcy? You can put it in the chat if you would like. We can go with the first chat answer.
Yeah, people are already saying medical bills.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the number one reason people file for bankruptcy, because it just builds up so quickly, and it's nothing you can do. You get in an accident, you have to take the what is it? The ambulance to the hospital. You have to have immediate surgery. You know, things happen so quickly, and you're under anesthesia or whatever the case may be, or incapable, and then you can't make decisions. So that takes me to another thing, and we really don't go into it here, but I work with people making sure you have your will updated, your health directive updated, your power of attorney updated. And if you don't have those, no problem. I work with attorneys as well that they can help you. Or if you have a spouse or a significant other that has EAP, Employee Assistance Program, at their employer, they can they can help you draft a will, probably at no cost, because that's part of your EAP that you're paying on a monthly basis when they take out the benefits from your um, paycheck. But having that will, having that health directive, having that proxy, having that power of attorney is so important, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be in a situation where you can't respond, or you can't uh, provide directions, and something happens and it's up to the hospital to make that decision. And your spouse or significant other who's standing right there with you and have been with you for decades, they can't do anything about that, right? And it's also about, if you pass away, having control from the grave, setting up a trust so that it doesn't go into probate. I know many people on this call have probably dealt with somebody who had to deal with probate when a loved one passed away. It's not fun. It's not fun at all, and it drains you not only emotionally but mentally. And then you have to put money out to get all these things fixed, and it's tough. A lot of celebrities, the guy that played Tony Soprano, right? He passed away, and he was married, but his beneficiary was not updated on his life insurance. So his life insurance did not go to his current wife. Guess who it went to? His first wife. How pleased do you think his current wife was after that? You
I
know,
can say these are like about a quarter of the episodes of Judge Judy. a
Oh,
good
really?
chunk of Judge Judy because I am the ultimate Judge Judy fan. I think I've seen every episode of Judge Judy ever. And a good quarter of the episodes are just this kind of stuff. And she starts every single time by saying, looking directly into the camera, going, if you would have just set this up, now we're
Mhm.
having to dig through piles of paperwork and find things and notes and all of that. So yeah, that is super, super, super important, especially when we're handling as much money as we are in our businesses.
Exactly. So health insurance, disability, you have a higher likelihood statistically to have a disability than you are to pass away. And a disability can be anything from a broken leg, a broken arm, you're sick for a couple weeks or a couple months, anything that will not able you to get up and go do your work to earn a living. And disability is really not that expensive. It's actually easier to to qualify for disability insurance than it is for life insurance, because with life insurance, the chances are lower that you'll use it, because people get term policy, and after 20 years they usually get it when children are young or when they're young, and after 20 years, 30 years, they don't need it anymore because they acquired wealth or they have other resources. But with disability, when you go out and if you can't come back, it's hard for you to earn income. And they have different disability products or policies that will allow you to still receive the coverage and do something close to the business that you're in. So if you're a photographer, but yet you are on disability, you can still go be an illustrator for a company and still receive your benefits. So it's really important to understand that and take advantage of that as well.
Especially with photographers in specific fields. If you're working in equipments, like I have friends that do specifically like photography surveys of construction. They're
Mm.
wearing hard hats and in construction area and companies. And sometimes even those companies will require you to have some sort of like disability coverage as part of your insurance plans, so that they know that they're not on the hook. When I did work for Ponce City Market, I had to prove in that I had disability coverage if something were to happen to me on their property, that I couldn't sue them, and that I had the means to be able to have my own medical coverage taken care of.
I did not know that.
It
I didn't
can be
know
a
that.
requirement. A particular type of disability insurance coverage can be a requirement for working with some very high profile clients.
Well, Sarah, that is a key segue into the third bullet: equipment coverage and liability coverage. You're right on
Yes.
the, next time I'll stay at home and I'll just chill out, and then I'll give you the slides and you do this, okay?
Sounds good. And even on this one, I can make a great recommendations. I'm going to put the link in PPA, the Professional Photographers Association. They have insurance specifically for photographers. They're amazing. Little boost there. Yes.
Little plug, yeah. So again, action steps: review your coverage and fill the gaps. Okay. So the every decision is a decision that can change your present and also change your future. So it's about changing your mindset, right? And thinking like a business owner. You are the CEO, CFO, COO of your enterprise, whatever that is. You could be a one person shop, or you can have 10 people, or you can have 100 people, but you are the one that makes those final decisions. Not a gig worker, not a side hustle. This is your business. Keep clean financial records, because it just makes it a lot easier to be able to provide to a business partner, or to file your taxes, or whatever you need to do. Start small and stay consistent, just like the penny. It doesn't have to be big, it has to be small. But the biggest thing is staying consistent. And then work with professionals, your CPA, your accountant, your attorneys. Now, I know these people all cost money, but to get high level advice until you really, really need to hire somebody, you can seek that knowledge. But the most important thing that I would like you to take away from this our 46 minutes together is that you got to take action, because knowing about it is one thing, but doing it is something totally different. So that's my time. Let's open it up for questions, insights, takeaways. Let's open it up.
Yes, if y'all want to put your questions in the chat, or there should be like a little hand raise thing, and then I'll do the ask to unmute button in there and can join in person. And while we're waiting for those to come in, yeah, I can say it's like for some of those insurance portions, there's different types of insurance. So make sure that you're getting the ones that fit best for your business. Because yes, you want your equipment covered, but you also want you covered as well. So, and I think Jeff was kind of touching on that a little bit with the like liability and disability, where sometimes when we think as photographers, where it's like, oh my gosh, my equipment is the most important thing. It's like, no, your body is the most important thing as a part of your business. Your body, your brain, your mind, that is the most important. Equipment can be replaced. You cannot. Jennifer, yes.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I have a question. When it comes to high yield savings accounts, do you have like any recommendations? And also for like for business accounts, I have a separate checking account for my business, but it's not like a legitimate business account. I just do all my stuff there, but I really want to get out of mixing the two, even though I try not to, but I would like to keep everything streamlined under my business name. So I didn't know if you had any like recommendations for any business checking accounts, or like also for a high yield savings account so I can start putting more money over there.
So two statements to that. Yes, we could do some research on some high yield savings accounts because they fluctuate, right? They go up and down with the market, and some companies are easier to do business with than others. So off the top of my head, I don't have any that I would, recommend right now. I know who I'm with, but they may not be a good fit for you. But we can definitely talk about, well, which ones are best for you. I can do some research and I can send it to you and just talk to you about the features and benefits of working with them. Because some have great customer service, but the yields are not as good. Some have high yields, but getting in touch with somebody is a little difficult. So it all depends on what you like. And then for the bank account, if you have a having a relationship with a bank is really important. So whoever you have your personal account with, you can start there. But having a relationship with a bank is important because when you need money, you don't want to go to them for the first time and say you need money. So having that personal relationship is important. So when you do need something, they know, hey, this is Jennifer. Jennifer's been here with us for XYZ years. Let's work with her. And they can maneuver some of the red tape. But when you just walk into a bank cold, it's kind of
Yeah,
hard
they're
to.
not gonna. Yes, yes. Thank you for that. How do you feel about credit unions? Because I am a credit union person. I have an actual bank account, but I'm more of a diehard credit union person. Do you feel okay about those as well?
Yes, credit unions are solid financial institutions. They're secure and they're local. So having that relationship is probably a better option than going into a traditional bank. So yeah, no slight on credit unions.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I can even speak to that where when I opened the school, I got an account with, I knew I wanted to keep the banking local, so I got an account at Citizens Trust. And so when I got an account with Citizens Trust, given it's like they're smaller, local, maybe don't have like the best app and that kind of thing. So back in the day, they didn't even have like the take a picture of your checks to deposit. I have to go do it in person or whatever, but I get to see them. And so I was like developing an actual relationship with the people there. So by the time that COVID hit and everyone was fighting for the small business loans that they were putting out, I got called like directly from one of the banking managers in charge of those for on my, like from his cell phone to my cell phone, and both times saying, we are working to get this for you. There's a line, but I can guarantee you that we are on it and you will get this funding, and like worked with me one-on-one directly to ensure that I got the COVID business loans, where the rest of my friends who were with like Chase or Wells Fargo or whatnot didn't see anything, couldn't get a hold of anyone, and never saw a penny. So I can attest personally to like small businesses working with small local banks. The way to go. That saved our business right there. His name was also Jeff. So it was like, Jeff saved it. Jeff did it awesome. Yes.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Oh, I think I know the answer to this one already, but Deanna is asking, if we are just getting started, do you recommend setting up a business account at this stage or wait until we have a steady income from the photography business?
Set it up and down, because as soon as you start getting some business, it's already in place. So you can just direct it straight to that bank account. That's the best thing to do. Set it up. And if you have to open it with your first $10 or first $100, just get it established, and also get a debit card from that account. Not a credit card, but a debit card, because certain things that you want to transact, you don't want to give somebody your routing number and your banking and your account number, but you can use your debit card and it'll draw from the same account as your business bank account. So yes.
Yeah. Oh, Deanna said, thank, great info. Thank you. Thanks, Deanna. Yeah, I can say that because if you think about it, when you start your business, you're able to take a part of it and claim it as startup costs that you get a higher tax return on, or a higher write-off. So you can have as like that part of it, but really once you start going, getting that account, like even in my business of photography class in the Photopreneur Club, we say, no, just go ahead and get it, because when things start to get a little messy, it's hard to differentiate which, when you're looking at your business bank, if you're looking at your personal account and trying to say what is and what isn't, it can get really tough where all of a sudden you're looking at things and going, oh man, was that Amazon purchase for the business or was it for the home? And it's so much easier, especially if you get audited. Oh my God, that'd be so scary. Where all of a sudden it's like if you've written things off that are in your personal account, all of a sudden then it's going back through that. And then the IRS gets like access to every random like Amazon purchase you made at 4 a.m. No, I'm good. Thank you. I don't need them knowing all of that. So just my separate account. Yeah.
Sarah, what you just spoke on is key, because that's what balancing those books on the weekend or every week or whenever you choose to do it. That little 4 a.m. transaction at the end of the week, you just put that in the appropriate bucket. Oh, that was an office chair for the business or for a staging or whatever the case may be. So you tag it, you put it in the box, and you don't have to worry about it. But if you try to figure that out 7 months later when you're doing your taxes, it's almost impossible. And that's the frustrating part about running your business and doing your books.
And that can be some of the most frustrating ones, especially with companies like purchasing stuff from Amazon, because it doesn't say Amazon office chair. It just
Right.
says Amazon. So there's no way where it's like, I made that mistake when I first started. And I had to go back through because I didn't log what specific Amazon items that they were, and then what tax category they belonged into for the write-offs in the
Right.
first year. So I had to go through all the purchases of the Amazon that I did in that quarter for my quarterly taxes and find and go, okay, this was for office supplies. This was for furniture. This was for disinfectant and cleaning supply. And it was a total, it took me 2 days to go through,
Yeah.
and I'm really fast at this kind of stuff. It took me 2 days to go back through all my Amazon purchases to categorize them.
If you have a bookkeeping like a QuickBooks or a FreshBooks. When the transaction comes in, you look at it, you see what it is, and you just put it in the proper chart of accounts, and that that 3 second transaction or that 3 section action you did will save you minutes and hours down the road.
And now with our accountants, every week, if they have mystery transactions, they'll send them to me and go, what was this and what was it for? So then I just have to type in their system and send it off. And that makes my life so much easier at this stage in the business, because then I'm not having to do it's like, oh, yeah. So every week they're reminding me so that they can get that information. So if you do end up with a bookkeeper, an accountant that's doing this, they'll be the ones to remind you to do it, which again, for Sarah's ADHD brain, a miracle, a freaking miracle.
Any other
Awesome.
questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do you guys have any other questions before we start wrapping up? Pretty good. Awesome. Yeah, Catherine says thanks. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, so much. We so appreciate your time and being here. We've got your information there, CPAallies.com. I'm going to put that in the chat. And then I also will send out these this recording and then the resources that Jeff has provided so awesomely through the talk as well. And stay in touch, reach out. And I'd love to do another one of these in, say, like a year's time, where I'm sure we'll have folks from this club who have taken some of the things that we've done and talked about, and then how that has evolved and the questions they'll have from there.
One last thing I'd like to say. I know a lot of you worked other places and you may have like old 401ks, old retirement accounts, and they're probably sitting there dormant. That's your money, but you can't contribute to it. You can't do anything with it. I would recommend taking that money out, rolling it over into one of these accounts, and then you could start adding on to that. Because if you take it out, you have 60 days to put it into another account. And that will give you a start to your new account, and you're not going to get penalized for it because it's not a deduction, it's a rollover. So if you need any questions or help with that, I'll be more than happy to assist with that as well.
I love that. It's like one little last nugget of information
Right.
before we had. Yes, perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much,
Right.
everyone, for joining. Hope to see you all soon. We've got tons of workshops and stuff coming up. We've got classes that start this week. We've got a flash class that's starting tomorrow. We've got a Photoshop class on Wednesday. Basic photo ones are happening all throughout the week as usual. Send the links out for those. And some awesome workshops as well with portrait lighting, family portrait one. I think we have one spot left in the Sunset Family Portraits with Tiffany for this Sunday. But yeah, either way, thank you again, Jeff. So appreciate you. Appreciate everybody here, and talk to you all soon. Bye.